Oh, shoot. Welcome, everyone. Excited that we're going to kick off today's Prepare for VC Accelerator Startup Showcase. And good to see, of course, Steve's already in the chat trying to make some jokes. And good to see some familiar faces, some new faces joining us. And yeah, we're really excited for all of our companies to be able to share what they're working on and build connections with our community here. So what the accelerator is we run a 12-week virtual accelerator that finishes with an in-person demo day in Boston. That'll be September 27th, and we're going to invite everybody out to join us there as well. Our program focuses on everything from the operational side towards the beginning of the program to pitching and presentation strategy, shifting to a focus on the fundraising strategy, and really what separates the 5 to 10 deals an investor goes into in a given year to the other 1,000 or 5,000 presentations they might receive, and how you can really stand out on your startup journey. So yeah, we've our cohort gets to know each other really well throughout. We have a core group of 5 startups we're currently working with. And yeah, and we meet with them. Oh, sorry about that. Here we go. Yeah, we meet with them 3 times a week, and an additional on top of office hour sessions as well. So yeah, we're really excited. We're about halfway through the program in our 6th week of the 12-week program. And yeah, excited for them to all get the opportunity to share with you today. We've brought in several of our startup community partners as well, including Boston New Technology, which is a event and technology organization based in Boston that provides everything from weekly tech newsletter to hosting startup events around Boston and beyond, and recently expanded to several new cities, including Providence, Philly, DC, and an Austin, Texas chapter as well. So the format of today, and then also wanted to highlight that we have one of our sponsors for the cohort is joining us too, Icalia Labs, that provides development services from day one, and we'll be able to share their info, and they've been a great resource connecting alongside many of our other mentors and partners that have come into the program so far as well. I'm going to hand it over to Steve for a second for a quick intro from our team as well, before we go into format of today and kicking off with the first presentations.
Thank you so much, Jason. Hey, everybody, Steve Ilkus, Chief Ecosystem Officer of Prepare for VC at your service. And I just wanted to come on briefly and say something, which is that I am really proud of the companies that are going to be presenting today. They've made a remarkable amount of progress in a relatively short amount of time. And another thing that I think is really cool is that we have a great diversity of companies, meaning you're going to be hearing about many different startup ideas from people from all over. It's going to be a very informative and entertaining experience. Again, they've worked hard. We are so grateful that all of you have decided to give us some of your time today and some of your insights. And I hope everybody has fun. So thanks.
Perfect. Yeah, so today we're going to be doing, each company is going to have 20 minutes to present, and that'll be about 5 to 10 minute presentation, followed by the remaining time for Q&A from the audience. So yeah, we encourage everybody to ask questions or put some commentary, even introduce yourself in the chat along the way. and then I'll be moderating the Q&A portion of each presentation. So yeah, we want to keep this as interactive as possible and get all of your questions answered, and we'll also provide opportunities. This is a showcase, so this can be, if there's anything that stands out to you, it's not just investment pitches, it's also any partner opportunities, any customer opportunities, anything you want to get involved with all of these companies. We'd love to build the connections and find ways to get our audience involved. So yeah, with that, excited to bring up Manisha Sethi, who will be our first presenter here today. And yeah, I'm going to turn it over to you. Excited to have you share your screen and kick off.
Yeah, thank you, Jason. Can everyone see it okay? Thumbs up, yeah?
We can.
All good. And my audio is okay as well?
Sounds great.
Great, thank you. So my name is Manisha Sethi. I think I recognize a lot of the faces here. For those that don't know me, I'm the founder of Who's Cooking, which is a food tech startup based here locally in the Boston region. And we're introducing homemade cuisine by vetted local chefs and awesome vetted local chefs, delivered with the convenience of delivery to your doorstep at home or to the corporate workspace. Just a little bit about me before I delve into the presentation. Although I have years of engineering experience, my background is computer science and telecom engineering. I grew up in the restaurant industry in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. My family had restaurants there since the 1980s. So I kind of grew up learning a lot about what it takes to make a small business truly successful. And many of you probably know this, but it's not an easy path for many small businesses. And we're changing that here at Who's Cooking. The problem that we're really solving for is a problem that I myself had as a mother of 3 years later after leaving Pittsburgh and coming to Boston and having a very hectic job, and my husband as well. The perennial question, what's for dinner, was always on my mind. And I really wanted to just get a homemade meal the way that my parents, my grandparents, or someone had prepared it for me on my dinner table for myself and my family. Something that was very authentic, much more nourishing than the options that was available in the local delivery apps. And I know I'm not alone in this. I've done a lot of research in this path. I know that Google alone reports 10 million recipe searches a day on what to cook, yet 3 times a week, the average person just doesn't have the time to cook or doesn't want to cook. But if given the option for a homemade meal over something that was perhaps more volume produced, they would take up on that option. What we know is that on the other side, there's an entire problem. There's a problem for the aspiring chef, or the chef who's really trying to operate alone in this industry. It's after COVID, and COVID really exaggerated this, the rates are really abnormal. 33% of restaurants fail within the first year of operations. In year 2023, the cost of opening a brick and mortar is above $375,000. And the overhead costs coupled with all of that continue to rise. The cost of maintaining labor and many other logistic costs that it takes to run the business, it's hard to do it alone. So what we're forming is a solution. That solution is an online marketplace. On one side is the hungry consumers, which I'm hoping many of you are, who would love to try authentic, fresh, homemade meals, locally produced by culinary entrepreneurs within your region. This is not a ghost kitchen. We really allow for a close concept to be available, the way you can chat with the person that's cooking for you, be able to read their bio descriptions, and be able to really personalize the meal that's being prepared for you. Our model makes it easy to try different chefs. We have over 21 different nationalities that are represented in the Boston region alone. And the logistics exist automatically through algorithms that decide where a driver might exist to help these chefs have their meals delivered. On the other side, for these entrepreneurs who are really launching themselves from these homes, these inspiring chefs or chefs, we allow for personal branding to exist through the platform, the logistics, again, through DoorDash, Roadie, which is a UPS-owned company, or private driver systems, and allow access to our CRM system through HubSpot, which has over 5,000 consumers that are currently registered. We also take care of sales through Stripe, and secure payments, of course, exist there as well. The solution, it's easy. You can go to the website, www.whoscooking.com or whoscookinglunch.com. You meet your cook. You can choose from a cook from over 21 different nationalities based on the cuisine type that you prefer. Select a date on which they're available. Choose the dishes, and these dishes rotate daily. It really allows for the chefs to have flexibility to fully create and utilize their creativity around the culinary arts that they wish to see. And you receive the order delivered directly to your doorstep or to your corporate workspace. The market opportunity that we're hyper focused on is the US online food delivery spend, which continues to rise, especially after COVID. It's currently above $63 billion alone in the US markets. Our GTM strategy has been focused mainly on the B2C side around busy families like myself. We embed ourselves in a lot of PTO organizations. We are also targeting major universities. We find that the professional grad students are also a big market in this. Sometimes they just have a nostalgia for having homemade food, which doesn't exist on campuses easily, and they would love to subscribe to these meals. We do a lot of influencer campaigns in the local region, not as much as SEO because we are bootstrapped, but our referral system has been really going well on our B2B side. We've been able to attain a GMV of $30,000 in the last 6 months alone through referrals and word of mouth marketing. And I should also mention that the road shows that we do really allow for the brand awareness to exist. As of recently, we do have a lot of Indian chefs that happen to be on the platform. We were present in many of the India Day events that were happening at the Boston Hatch Shell and a few other events around Fenway. We're also doing another event this weekend for back to school and for PTO organizations to help busy moms just plan out their school year and be able to subscribe to these meals. Our competitive landscape, we really focused ourselves on this top right-hand side of the quadrant. We consider ourselves much more locally produced and convenient. Again, as I was mentioning before, the ability for you to be able to chat with the person who's cooking for you, to be able to read their bio descriptions, to have a clear list of the ingredients that they're using, even a source of the ingredients is especially important. Our competitors, which are listed here, are geographically based in the West Coast, although some of them have small presences here in the East Coast. The way that we make money on the B2C side, our take rate is 32%, and that comes from 22% of revenue sharing from the chefs and 10% of transaction fees from the consumers. On our corporate lunch side is 20% of revenue sharing from the chef and 10% from our consumers. Now, we've done a lot of market research on this as well. Companies like DoorDash and other delivery apps do vary in their fees. They vary state by state, but here in the state of Massachusetts, it's above 30% alone. So very competitive in that region. You might ask, why now? Well, the food industry is changing. And honestly, I don't think that we could have been born at a better time. Busy consumers are eating at home. We have a strong desire for higher quality foods that really talk to our background, our dietary needs, and more personalization. The gig economy and culinary industry is not exempt from this, continues to grow annually at double-digit rates. People want options, they want them locally. And changing regulations are allowing for expansion of homemade food businesses. The state of California, Nevada, state of Washington have recently passed bills which allow people to use their residential kitchens to produce more and more foods as long as they have been inspected by the local authorities. We are really, truly also building a sustainable business for our chefs. We launched in June of last year, and data has shown that most of our chefs are having an average monthly revenue of $2,000. That means that it's about a cumulative revenue close to $50,000 in a 6-month cohort. We actually have over 60 chefs that are registered, so that continues to grow. We know the supply is strong. We really do want to do this. Our CRM systems support over 5,000 users that are registered on the platform. And we know that the technology itself is scalable. We have been able to service over 2,000 orders successfully. And that really means that we can move from city to city fairly easily because our logistics and our sales and marketing is all built in, and it's very scalable from regions. This is the team. I'm Manisha, and as I was mentioning, I do have food and beverage experience from helping my own family run businesses. I have also worked for 23 years at Fidelity Investments in the technology field. Gitanjali is handling our operations. Tatiana is our Chief Product Officer, and she's also had a recent exit in Brazil, forming a similar enterprise where it joined together farmers with consumers. And I'm also very lucky to be backed up by a great team of advisors. We're raising a small pre-seed round of 500K. We're halfway through that currently. And if you're interested, my information is on the first page of this deck. I'm also happy to share it after this call. Thank you. And I can take questions now. Thank you, Jason.
Perfect. Yeah, great presentation. I love, yeah, anybody that has questions, please put them in the chat now. Got a shout out from Parna about the fact that it's an all-woman team. So yeah, question is, as we're waiting for some more questions to come in, is what were some of the moments so far for you where, you know, you knew you were really onto something? And is there anything that, yeah, any moments so far in your journey that really stand out to you that people are as excited as they are about your company?
Yeah, I am. Well, there have been many moments. I think my biggest motivation, honestly, just going back from a heartfelt perspective, is my own mother. She really did form a business without any knowledge of this industry and did so with very little help from anyone. And as I see, and Perna, you're correct in saying all women owned. We also, our mission is also really to support women culinary entrepreneurs. Although men are, of course, part of the platform, over 90% are women chefs. And yesterday I did have this little aha, okay, this is why I did this moment, as one of our clients had catering done from a woman who's just starting off, and she had her 5th grade daughter kind of help her carry the food up, and she's just in a small commissary kitchen. It really brings back the thought of that these people need the support structure from all of us to make them successful. So I have little moments, Jason, but yesterday was the most relevant one.
Oh, amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, I love that story. Yeah, we had a question from Jimmy on if you engage chefs with disabilities on the platform as well.
Yeah, I mean, that is going to be our case. We definitely, we would love to do that. We are working with a lot of nonprofit organizations, so not necessarily disability just yet, but we work with Saheli, which is a woman of Asian descent who come from domestic abuse backgrounds, and they're really trying to get into the industry and stand up back on their feet. So we provide them commission-free platform services as long as they're able to get on. And with disabilities, we would love to get some technologies built in so that we can really have Braille and other type of visual tools to allow the chefs to use our technology. And with proper funding, I would love to make that happen.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, that would be amazing. We had a recommendation on checking out the Westwood Diwali program.
Yeah, I have a question.
Oh, sorry, one second. Yeah, on the Westwood Diwali program. And yeah, so I just wanted to learn a little bit about how you get involved with different events and if that's a core component of the platform as well.
Yeah, we do. So we used to be in a lot of different events, and now because time is, of course, for all of us, very expensive, we do try to monitor what we're there for, because we're really focused more on the B2B side right now. We do try to go to events where we feel like we can get some higher institutional type of clients. The higher AOVs also encourage our chefs. So we're trying to build ourselves on that. We will probably be at the Westwood Diwali program. We always have booth presence in most of these areas. We were recently at, like I mentioned, 4 different India Day events already. And we do that by really finding a word of mouth where in different marketing channels, people alert us as to the different events, and then we vote on where we think our presence would be most beneficial.
Perfect. Yeah, JC, did you have a question as well?
Yes, I'm curious. Do you have PowerPoint slides, or what do you use? It seems like the PowerPoint slides, it's not available, or do you have anything on the website? that you could share?
I have my deck. Just would that be helpful? I'm happy to share that. And it is PDF, and I have it in PowerPoint as well.
Perfect. Yeah, we can connect everyone after as well for more information. And then yeah, we had a question from Jerry too on, while the chefs are certified in food safety, what steps are taken to follow the rules of sanitation, and how do you ensure that?
Yeah, so the chefs are all independent contractors. What that means is they usually are their own DBAs and LLCs, their own independent businesses. As far as steps taken into sanitization, although we can't inspect all of the facilities ourselves, what we do is, besides knowing that they have the proper certification, which is one of the elements to get enabled on the platform, we do make sure that they have the proper insurance, food liability insurance, and so forth. We have strategic relationships built with a lot of different insurance companies to help them provide that. We also have a really robust ratings and review system. So I guess you can liken it to, well, you rent a home on Airbnb from someone and you find that it had a lot of pests. And if more than 2 or 3 people have voiced the same thing, I think Airbnb is likely to disable that person from the platform. And we do it the same way. After 3 negative ratings, we ask the chefs to take this seriously and to address these. We're also obliged by local health authorities to report any sort of health ailments that were reported through the platform. So we have certain steps that we make sure that we're on top of. And luckily, we haven't had any negative reviews thus far.
Perfect. Any final questions for Manisha? And I want to just ask, are there any favorite dishes you've ordered through the platform that some of the local chefs have created?
Actually, yes, I'm meeting somebody today who is one of my favorite Venezuelan chefs. She came to the country about 7 years ago, and she's formed a little, actually, she's trying to form a brick and mortar in Lexington, Massachusetts. But she produces these wonderful arepas, which are just great. I mean, they will blow your mind as to what Venezuelan food is meant to be. And she does a great job with them. So
Amazing.
Hi,
Yeah,
Manisha. Just a
Yes.
quick comment I'd like to make. I just checked out the website. The website is absolutely beautiful, very easy to
Thank
use.
you.
And I registered myself, and I just want to say my wife makes some of the best Korean barbecue that you will ever have.
Oh my gosh.
And she's been actually interested in starting her own Korean barbecue marinade, as well as like a lunch service business. So we're gonna definitely check it out and might get started. And I'm gonna reach out to you about that with my wife too.
Yeah. Thank you, Richard. Would love that. Would love to. We don't have a Korean chef actually right now, so would love to get her started and get her on. Thank you.
Amazing. Yeah, and if you check through this the chat too, there's some great recommendations and offers to make introductions as well. Yeah, so we have one from Roberto that just came in on introducing Mexican chefs, and some others from Ron and others looking to make introductions and help support. So I put a link into if anybody wants to request an intro, or you can just reach out to Manisha directly. And thanks
Great.
again for a great presentation. And yeah, great job kicking us all off here.
Thank you. I'll just put my contact info in the chat as well. Thank you.
Perfect. And with that, I'm going to bring up Jason Corning, JC, as our next presenter. I'm going to get our presentation shared here in a second. And yeah, again, the format is going to be a 20-minute slot where it's about a 10-minute presentation, and then moving directly into Q&A from the audience. Sorry if I freeze here. Let's see. Okay, hopefully I'm back up.
Yeah, I don't see it yet.
All right, we're live now, and Jason, feel free to kick us off whenever you're ready.
Okay. All right. Yes, my name is Jason, and I'm a founder for. Although I'm using an interpreter right now because I'm deaf and blind, and I do have some slides. The next slide, please. Okay, great. Okay, right now I'd like to share a story with a few situations that I've seen that are going on for a deaf person who's deaf and blind who went to an ER and asked for access with an interpreter, and the ER said, "Where do you think we could find that service in the middle of a rural area?" For instance, like say if you needed surgery, the ER requires 4 hours to find an interpreter. Would that, do you think that would be appropriate for your health? You're gonna have surgery, even though it'd be a big risk for the consumer and the hospital with a person with a disability. Next slide, please. You know that we do have 67 million persons with disabilities, and like I explained, the two different situations. It's not only one or two persons experience. It's actually 67 million that experience that daily, not only with the medical field, but also with education, businesses, government. People have a hard time finding a qualified, skilled interpreter, and you know, and also the resources are very limited, and it costs the businesses a lot of money, and they're not willing to pay for it. It's about 320% of the ADA's lawsuits have happened according to the ADA Act, and so you can see how this graph it goes up. So we want to help the business reduce lawsuits and find qualified services, and I can explain how on the next slide here. So what we do is we develop a platform that provides 3 different services. A co-navigator that would provide guidance, visual in a visual environment for those who can't hear or have low vision. We also provide communication facilitator for persons who don't have access to, like say, a movie theater. Like right now, I wouldn't have information of these courses without this video relay service. So we would have a person that would be able to provide interpretations for a variety of situations. There's agencies that provide interpreters, but still there's not enough because we have to screen qualified interpreters. For instance, like a medical situation. Do they have medical experiences, backgrounds? You know, if an interpreter doesn't know the content, how would they be able to interpret and relay that to the patient or the doctor in order for them to get the right treatment and care and the full access of all the information? Next slide, please. And what we do is we develop an app, either a website or an app that they could use for where businesses can go into their system like API and request Like say if they have a patient who's blind and need Braille services or services that would interpreters that would help, we screen through an app for the interpreters or the facilitators. We screen their experiences. We use geolocation to see who's nearby, and AI services that screen that matches up with client, and then we will ask if they will the interpreter if they accept the assignment and be able to go out to meet the interpreter. It will save the hospitals money, so they wouldn't have to reschedule appointments if there's a lack of communication, and so that would avoid any errors or delays with the patient. So that's something we could help. We have an app that we built, and we can find an interpreter within 15 minutes. Will save time and money for the patient. Okay, next slide. Also, we signed with 2 organizations, Texas Deaf and Blind Camp. They have a weekly camp for the deaf and blind for about, say, 20 that come out. And we also have one person that walks around with each individual. So there's 3 shifts a day. That means we would have to, we help find support workers ready, available for those who need it through an app, schedule for the deaf and blind so they have full access, and they also can rate who they like and who they don't like, and they also use our communication facility. They can give us feedback, and if there's any bugs, we could fix it. And we have 2 versions that'll be ready soon, and we're ready to expand our client base that can join. All right, next slide. And for now, our GTM go-to-market, our goal is to go to different conferences, meetings, and businesses that we can approach and show our product, and to see if they're interested. If the deaf and blind don't have, they don't have access to social media. That means we go to different events, conferences, and all sorts to try to get the word out to people. And so we're hoping to work with hospitals, governments, private agencies, if they're interested in signing with us, and that we have interpreting services. We find out who the patients are, and we can give them full services. The next slide, please. And we're hoping that we could get the revenue of 500,000 with 540 requests. We're hoping that we can grow to 3 million within 3 years. Once we get the word out and we explain, or that's our goal. All right, next slide. Does anybody have any questions?
Perfect. Yeah, great job, JC. And yeah, excited to oh wait, actually I'll leave that slide up for anybody to scan as well. Yeah, excited to take any questions, and we also had some comments in the chat too. So yeah, I'll highlight them here. From Jimmy, he mentioned that you can try and link up with a group called We the 15 that launched during the last Olympics, and there's 1.2 billion people around the globe with disabilities initially from the Paralympic organization, and they might be able to help support with access around the globe as well. And then he's also recommending supports from local Rotary clubs in order to bring this to different communities as well. We had a question from Parna as well about if you're working with local hospitals or plan to work with local hospitals.
Yes, we are. We started discussions with University of Chicago, and they said they're very interested. But we have to make sure that our platform is ready to integrate with their system. We have a 2.0 that's available. Before we go ahead with them, we have to make sure it's ready. But right now, they're complaining about their your interpreting agency. They don't respond quick enough. It takes 5 days for them to respond back. It takes us 15 minutes. So the patients don't know the interpreter is going to show up or not, which is surprising. So we gave them access and services well ahead of time.
Oh, yeah.
Perfect. What's the
What time
geographic?
चलता है then?
Oh, sorry, was there a question?
Oh,
Oh, yeah, a question on what's the geographic roadmap? Is there one city or a few cities you're launching in, or is it available everywhere? How do you plan to roll out in different spaces?
Well, currently, we're going to start with the state of Oregon. And they're one of our clients that use it right now. And so whatever businesses or organization who has the funding, who has services that we could support, we will support them with our platform. Right now, we're in 5 states that we provide services to the deaf and blind community. So we're working with them currently.
Perfect. And yeah, just to highlight from your data point, that's an amazing difference between 15-minute response time and several days, and especially in those critical situations. Cool. So yeah, I guess yeah, we have a couple other comments on.
It's like, say, using Uber or Airbnb. You know who your drivers are or your host before you get in the car and before you go to your house, right? It's very similar. Right now, we don't know who the interpreter is that shows up, or maybe it could be it's not the right fit, and so you get a bad experience, lousy services, or there's delays before you get the support you need. So we'll that's something we can alleviate.
Perfect. Can you walk us through a little bit of the process? So say, you know, I like how you took us through that, but yeah, let's say looking to book an interpreter through the platform. What information do I need to provide, and how do you decide who I get matched up with?
Sure. For example, say the hospital, they use a MyChart system. And suppose the patient already has a profile with our platform. And so they've already set up their preferred, say, left hand or right hand, male or female, short or tall. Information is already set up in the system. So we already know, once we know what appointment is and where, then our system uses an AI that figures out ahead of time, with the appointment scheduled, who the preferred interpreter is, and then we look for a match, and then we put those two together. And so that's something that's behind the scenes work that we will be doing.
Perfect. any final questions here? We have some more comments on, loving the vision and being excited to see this thrive and available in many locations. So it's a big impact you're making, and
Thank you.
yeah, really excited about this. Perfect. I'm gonna put your link in the chat.
Thank you.
Use this to. Give me 1 second here. Perfect. I just shared a link to connect with Jason further in the chat, and we've had some offers come in to make more introductions and connections. So yeah, great presentation, great job, and excited. Yeah, excited about everything you're doing, and looking forward to bringing up Richard as our next presenter to share what they're building with geometric biosciences. So Jason, great job.
Yeah, I think Richard might be on mute.
Yep. Yeah, there we go.
Can everybody
Awesome.
hear me?
Yeah, no, we can.
Yes, you're coming in
And you
loud and
guys can
clear.
all see the presentation, right?
We can.
Yes, we can.
Fantastic. Okay.
Take it
Hi,
away.
everybody. My name is Richard Kim. I am one of the co-founders and the CEO of Geometric Bioscience. I'm today joined by another co-founder, Akira Hirata, today, but I'll be doing most of the presentation. He may chime in later on for the Q&A. I'm really excited to be here today to be presenting on what I think is an exciting scientific discovery, but hopefully that could also translate into a commercial opportunity. So I'll start with this slide. Here you see 8 different domains of science or markets that seemingly are unrelated to one another, from drug discovery to cosmetic skincare and microbiome. What they all have in common is that all of these fields utilize an equipment called, mass spectrometry. If you haven't seen one, they look like this. So what does this equipment, how is this equipment used to for all these different domains of science and markets? Well, they're part of the equipment's used to analyze field of science called computational metabolomics. In the last 20 years or so, computational metabolomics has exploded exponentially in academic literature. It is a derivative and a cousin of genomics. I think many of us have heard of genomics. It's been around for more than 40 years at this point, and many startups in the pharmaceutical industry as well as cell therapeutics have relied on genomics to find new therapies. Genomics is study of the DNA. Downstream from that, transcriptomics is the study of the RNA. And then downstream from that is proteomics, which is study of the protein. The last derivative is the metabolites. And this is the domain in which we're exploring today. How scientists identify metabolites in a biological sample is they use an equipment called liquid chromatography mass spectrum. There are other machines as well, but this is the primary machine that everybody uses. And mass spectrometry outputs mass spectra data sets, and how scientists use that spectra to identify metabolites in biological sample is they refer to a reference library. Currently, unfortunately, only about 25,000 metabolites have mass spectra associated with them. That presents a huge bottleneck to the number of metabolites that scientists can identify today. Let's put that into perspective. Currently in the world, scientists estimate there are about 100 billion molecules worldwide. But of that, approximately 5 million molecules are biological metabolites. But unfortunately, for vast majority, more than 90% of them, we have no idea what they even look like. Of that 5 million, about 450,000 molecules, we do know the structure to, but we have no way of identifying them when they are present in biological samples. Of that tiny fraction, further tiny fraction, 25,000, we have the mass spectra so that we can identify them in mass spectra right now. At Geometric Bioscience, we have developed a brand new AI model that takes mass spectra, bypasses the reference library requirement, and we're able to identify molecular structure directly from mass spectrum data sets. That opens up all kinds of molecules that we can identify today, some over 70 million molecules. That's a huge jump from about 25,000 molecules that present scientists can do. Not to mention the speed at which the AI model is able to process spectra. It would take about 6 months for a molecular chemist to identify a brand new metabolite, whereas our AI model is able to process 30,000 different spectrums in a matter of 2 to 3 seconds. So let's recap. Like we have not, admittedly, we have not done the whole full market opportunity, market sizing yet. All of these bubbles, fields of science and markets represents multi-billion opportunities. But once we have this AI, how can we transform each and every one of these sectors? How can nutraceuticals or drug discovery be transformed based off of 5 million metabolites that we have identified? We're not alone, by the way, in this endeavor. NVIDIA Bioscience in Colorado, Sapient in California are kind of already ahead of us. However, how Geometric Bioscience is differentiating ourselves is NVIDIA and Sapient are vertically integrated players. In other words, they have developed the AI quite similar to what we have developed, but they are focused on developing their own proprietary databases. In contrast, Geometric Bioscience is purely focused on development of the AI. And instead of building our own proprietary database, what we intend to do is service our customers to have their own database of metabolites that they're interested in. In essence, we're going to create NVIDIA and Sapiens rivals, competitions. In terms of our business model, we intend to work closely with mass spectra equipment manufacturers as well as software providers, instead of working directly with drug discovery or diagnostic companies. In terms of pricing, we're still working through what the right pricing model is appropriate in this market, but we're thinking approximately $10 per mass spectra data set. As a form of market validation, well, we have I formerly used to work for a company called DICE, located in Japan, and they have a relationship with Kumamoto University in Japan. And they have world's largest sample of plant extracts that they have not processed yet. So we have been given the task of processing these plant extract samples via LCMS machine. And per 30,000 samples, we have currently settled on $10 per sample for a revenue of approximately $300,000. We're a team of 3 individuals. I myself, I'm an applied mathematician in charge of developing this new AI model. Akira Hirata is a management consultant formerly and is responsible for building relationship with Japanese customers. And Shin-Young Jung is a recent addition to our co-founding team. He's an analytical chemist. He's been providing me with domain expertise in metabolites and chemistry. That concludes my presentation, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Perfect. Yeah, great job, Richard. Yeah, great presentation. Opening up for questions in the chat. And let's see, we have a recommendation to look at the seven areas of focus from the Rotary Foundation, and the fact that one of them is on disease treatment and prevention. And this could be a great great platform for them that also partners with the Gates Foundation, WHO, CDC, etc. So yeah, great recommendation from Jimmy there. let's see. Yeah, any other questions, feel free to put them in the chat. And then, yeah, as we're doing that, are there, I really liked how you introduced kind of all of these spaces it could apply to, and are there some areas of focus here that are going to be part of the initial markets you go after, or are they researchers that could be working on any of these sectors?
So we're open to all these 8 different sectors right now. And admittedly, we haven't done the work yet of identifying one key market that we want to start with. But recently, we have landed on another potential customer in the microbiome space to detect bacteria through metabolite that the bacteria emit. So we have been exploring the microbiome space in the last about 2 to 3 weeks, and I think this is a field that's hot with a lot of exciting opportunities in terms of science as well as commercial opportunities. So it's kind of likely that we're going to pursue microbiome, in the future, more so than some of the other ones.
Perfect. And who within the research organizations are your primary customers, or the first people you're talking to sell this into their organizations?
As you know, like the one in the market validation slide, we have the Japanese food tech company with access to Kumamoto University's biological samples, plant samples. So that's our first customer. The another one, the microbiome company as well. I think besides them, we intend to work with universities. All the universities have what's called core facilities. They have mass spectra equipment, and are always looking for research collaboration opportunities. So we'll be working closely with universities.
Perfect. Let's see. Yeah, we have a comment on that your tech is revolutionary, and you're making or I guess, the more it can be simplified into layman's language, the easier it'll be to get out there as well. There's also a recommendation on connecting with a company called Anteros Bio. That's another company in the Boston ecosystem here. Jerry's recommending as well, that as a microbiome company, and might be good some good collaborations there as well.
Excellent. Yeah, sounds very exciting.
Perfect. Yeah. So, and then yeah, some more interest in chatting and connecting further. Yeah, if there's any other questions, feel free to put them in the chat. Appreciate all the great connections there too. And use cases. Yeah, so that would be, yeah, there's a question or comment here about use cases. So if we look at let's say the microbiome sector, for example, I know you had that as a pretty large advantage or time number of molecules you can discover in a much quicker period of time. But if you could put it into a little bit more context of somebody who's working in the microbiome field as a researcher, how do they interact and use their platform, and how much cost or time does it save them?
We're not sure if we're going to develop into some kind of a web platform where people can come and upload their mass spec data and get answers. More likely, we're going to be like a hands-on service provider in helping them build their own database. Having said that, I mean, I'm not dismissing idea of having a web-based software to have them do it themselves for a fee, like a SaaS-based model. Is that answering your question, Jason, or was there another
Yeah,
point?
I guess a typical customer, are they buying in for the number of molecules that can be researched or the time savings, or what are the key advantages that somebody in this microbiome space wants to buy into Geometric for? I know there's
Speed
a
is
lot of-
certainly, speed is one for sure. Speed is definitely one. The capacity to maintain their data in the metabolites that they're analyzing is another. And lastly, novelty, right? So if they are seeking a brand new novel, like a novel metabolite, the current way of identifying new metabolite, it would just take months and multiple equipments to process. Not only mass spectra, but another type of machine called NMR, X-ray crystallography is another machine to identify the structure of a molecule. These are all expensive processes that takes months to do. And multiple molecular chemists. Our AI model is capable of shortening that research process down to a few seconds. Not saying that AI model can replace molecular chemists completely. I'm simply saying it just speeds up and helps them do the analysis. So if a pharmaceutical company has 25 molecular chemists on the team, perhaps they can reduce that down to about 3, perhaps, and achieve the similar results.
Right. No, that's a huge advantage, and I like the way you explain that. It's two capacities depending on the audience. It's either you can do basically comes down to you can do either the same amount with a smaller team, or you can do a lot more with a bigger team. And yeah, great presentation. I put another link, and I know you put your email in the chat to connect further as well. And yeah, check out some of the other comments and intros there as well. Great presentation, and excited to make some of these further connections here. And
Thank you
then,
very much.
yeah, looking forward to bringing up our next presenter, Hamida from Hobby. And yeah, I'm gonna bring you up here and turn the stage over to you. Excited to have you present next.
Awesome, thank you. Thanks everyone for making it here, and for my fellow cohort. Yes, I'm gonna share my screen and then I will start. Okay, is my screen visible to everybody?
Yeah, now we can see it.
Okay, awesome. Right. Yeah, so my name is Hamida. By profession, I'm a mental health nurse. I've been one for the past 4 years. Yeah, and I have 7 years experience in the medical field overall. So this is my company that I'm working on called Hobby. And the basis really is to show people how they can turn their hobbies into therapy or a form of therapy. So I'll just start right into the problem. So 1 in 5 Americans suffers from mental illness, and only half of those people get treatment. So the number is roughly 57 million. And the reasons for not getting treatment are a couple. I'll name like the 6 are relevant to Hobby. First one is stigma. Second is lack of awareness. Third is financial barriers. 4 is the limited access. 5 is lack of support. And 6 is logistical challenges. And as a result of this, we see the numbers for suicide rates increasing. And yeah, it's very sad. And then we also see that it affects the US economy in general, losing to 10.5 billion every year. But there's hope. Yeah, there's hope. So like during the pandemic, actually, the government and a couple of health regulatory bodies lacks the restrictions on telehealth. So like things such as cross-state licensing, HIPAA regulations around using Zoom for treatment, also like eligible services. So right now, the amount of mental illnesses that can get telehealth has been increased largely. And because of that, we see the market for telepsychiatry increasing year over year. Right now, the market size is valued at 5.5 billion. That was in 2019. And it's expected to grow at a compound annual growth rate of 24.7% from 2020 to 2027. So in the midst of all this, this is where hobby comes to life, and this is where hobby comes in. Just want to make a disclaimer that hobby's goal is not to replace traditional forms of therapy, like psychotherapy with the trained therapist. It is meant to supplement that treatment, and also to be an easier accessible form of therapy if the person cannot afford or have any way to find the traditional forms of therapy. So our motto here at Hobby is affordable mental health guidance and support, doing what you enjoy. So Hobby has, well, I have found scientific proof to back up Hobby. So there's been several studies that have been done that prove that indulging in hobbies on a regular basis can increase both physical illnesses and mental illness. I like this study specifically because it said in their findings, people who didn't have depression when they, and this study was done with 8,000 attendees, 8,000 participants. So it was found that 32 people who practice hobby regularly have a 32% lower odds of developing depression, for example. And in people with depression, it was found that they have a 272% higher odds of recovering from that depression. So where are we in the product stage? So we are in the beta stage, early adopter stage. We have both the website and application available on both iOS and Android. We also have external groups that are run using our concept of making hobbies therapy. So in terms of traction, so like I should let you guys know that Hobby wasn't what it is right now always. So we actually made a pivot 1 month ago to making hobbies a form of therapy. Before that, it was a skill sharing platform. So in that month, specifically since August 1st of this month, we have had 27 paid book sessions. And also with our external groups made around our concept of making hobbies a form of therapy, we have seen a steep growth, as you can see here. We now have over 600 members in 5 different cities. Okay, and right now what we offer like hobbies as a form of therapy. So let's say, for example, you're into art, you're into writing, you like cooking, you like dancing. On our platform, you would be able to find a dance therapist, for example. You would find an art therapist, and you'll also be introduced to guided journaling. On top of that, I also realized that there is 2 types of personas that usually come to Hobby. On the one end, it is someone who doesn't know what to do, like they've just started their journey of mental wellness. So for that person, we have this mental wellness skills sector as well, where we show them how to cope and all of that. And then for the other person who knows what mental health is and that they have a particular hobby, we have the guided sessions for them as well. So why Hobby? as you know, there's many mental health platforms out there, but I have not been able to find one that is specifically geared towards hobby as a form of therapy. I know many of you have heard of BetterHelp. Yeah, but BetterHelp, again, is more of a traditional form of therapy where you talk to a counselor and that type of thing. So why hobby? Why is hobby a good partner for you, a good platform for you, or a good investment? It's very cost effective for the value given. So right now, on average, the cost of a therapy session one-on-one is $100 to $120, can go up to $250 for a patient. And group sessions usually average at $45. So hobby is able to offer people this types of therapy for $5 a class, a session, and that's really a staggering difference in price. So they don't only get the guidance from the mental health professionals, they also find support groups. So I should get a little bit into how hobby works. Is you sign up and you enter your location and your interests. So you can either pick from art, writing, whatever, and then from that, the platform will suggest to you sessions that you could attend, support groups that you can attend, also like mental health resources that you can use. Other reasons why hobby is great is there are multiple revenue streams that can be put in place. It's easily scalable. And at hobby, we value quality of mental health professionals. So this is the current team. There's me, CEO and founder, and I work with other alternative therapists. So for example, I have a certified mindset coach I work with, Sylvia. Florencia, she's a biodancer facilitator. So what biodancer is, for those of you who may not know what that is, it's a form of dance therapy where you use music and body movements to like let go of stuff like tension and trauma and all that stuff. I also have an art therapist working with me. I like to call her Vlachka. That's what she likes to go by, Vlachka. And I also have a development company currently working with me. Okay. I also have an advisor that I work with, and I'm currently in the Prepare for VC Accelerator. Yeah, and thank you so much. So why I'm here, I am looking for partnerships and advisors. So if you're someone who's experiencing mental health, or you know people that are experiencing mental health that want to get on board with the mission that Hobby is trying to accomplish, please reach out to me. Also right now I'm at a point where I'm trying to get the word out there for Hobby. So if you run a podcast, I know people who do podcasts or roundtables, I would like to get in touch with you. And also if you want to check it out and what it has to offer, you're very welcome as well. Thank you. And this is just a QR code for easy access if you're interested.
Perfect. Yeah, great presentation. Feel free to add any questions into the chat. Let's see, we have another couple comments here. So, awesome and great job on the traction since the pivot, and it's been several weeks and you already have great stories and user signups and paying customers. So congratulations on that. We also have a comment on that your growth and pivot are not only justified and credible, they're compelling. And I feel that the why hobby can benefit from a slide or two with your new traction and success since the pivot. So just, tying that more into the story. But yeah, great job there. Let's see. Another recommendation of a company to partner with from Jimmy is a company called Bipolar that teams up with local cause-based Rotary clubs and to seek access to district grants. And yeah, great recommendation on that source there. I saw a hand raised, but I think it went down. So yeah, if anybody else had another question. Oh, here we go. It's from Red. two questions. One is how you manage HIPAA compliance, and the second is how you're able to offer these with such a low cost or $5 sessions.
Yeah, so in terms of HIPAA compliance, so our session, okay, so one thing to keep in mind again is that hobby is not like for example, like insurance will not cover hobby. So it's not like a traditional type of therapy or stuff like that. So for HIPAA, we encourage our teachers, first of all, not to like talk about the problems that the clients face with other people. And the other thing, our sessions are not recorded, but it's kind of like a support group. So that's what we are in terms of the HIPAA, and in terms of how I'm able to manage $5 per session. Really, I owe that to the people I'm working with, my team of providers who are accepting a temporary pay cut right now in the beginning to be able to afford these types of prices. But I know as more people join the sessions, they will balance out and actually make more than they would have if they were doing their own thing or a traditional job.
Great. At scale, how big of a group would be participating in each of these sessions?
How big a group? So right now I have a cap of 20 to 30 students, depending on what type of therapy is being given, just so there's like a chance for like one-on-one or like more attention to each person in the session. Did I answer the question?
Yeah, you did. Perfect. Oh, good to see another collaboration opportunity in the cohort. So yeah, Manisha mentioned there might be, chefs on her platform that could be interested in offering cooking demos as therapy as well.
Yeah,
Sounds good.
and I think Hamida, back to the sort of the session price, that might be what we kind of have to maybe work together with, because I think it depends on how much they're going to be able to make, and how many people will be interested in attending, but we can certainly talk through that.
Oh, not sure if you froze. Can you still hear us, Amina? All right, as we're getting signal back there, I'm gonna put her connection for any further introductions or interest in connecting further in the chat here. And here we go. But yeah, great questions and comments, everyone. There is one more we'll get answered if the signal gets cleared back up. It was a question around basically any plans on joining with commercial insurance or getting enrolled in plans. But yeah, we're gonna make any connections. I put a connection link in the chat there, and yeah, appreciate everybody's questions and insights here. I do just want to highlight, we had one founder that is out sick today with Welcomely. So I'm just going to quickly highlight what they're building. And then everybody that came out today will also make sure gets an invitation to our final demo day. Again, this is just what everybody's building halfway through the program, and you're going to see a lot of great progress by the end of the cohort, which the final presentations will be September 27th. That'll have an in-person component in Boston, as well as a live stream component to anybody that wants to tune in virtually as well. So yeah, Welcomely is a platform where that's connecting managers and employees to build stronger relationships through data that's gathered, AI driven data gathered organically and supplied to the managers. The first real market they're going after right now, after different customer discovery that led to a couple pivots here as well, is going for sales managers, managing business developers. So but we'll send a little bit more info and a way to connect with Cody further. Basically right now, they also went through a recent pivot and they're looking for companies with business development teams to connect with and test out their platform and help bring it to market. So I'll share. Here we go. Hamida, actually, I'll love to bring you back up for final question or so here. I did share your link in the chat. I'm going to share Cody's as well for anybody that wants to reach out, learn more, and you'll be able to see his presentation at the final demo day as well. But yeah, Hamida, the last question was around if there's any plans on taking this to insurance and how far, or if that's part of the future growth plans, being able to work with different providers.
Yes. So sorry about that. I had plugged in my laptop, but something was wrong with the code. So yeah, in terms of like working with insurance, right now that is not on my radar, maybe in the far future. But right now, in terms of like growth, I was planning for Hobby to be more like a third-party provider of a therapeutic sessions type of environment for like different workspaces or schools and stuff like that, in that aspect.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, great presentation. And you got some great feedback and questions in the chat here as well. So excited, I put your link in above for anybody to connect further. Great job.
Thank you.
Perfect. And yeah, with that, I just want to thank everybody once again for coming out today. And yeah, great job by all of our founders. We're gonna send, we'll send a recap over to everybody that came out. If there's any anything that pops up, and classic Steve, the class dismissed. Anything that pops up you want to share or connect with anybody that presented today, anything we can help you with in either your investment, startup support, or companies you're building yourself, feel free to reach out. And again, we'd love to have all of you involved in our communities and future programming. So we'll stay in touch and we're always here to support.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you for joining us for our Cohort 6 showcase.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.